What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 36, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today's episode, I'm going over my top 10 waiver wire pickups for your week 2 of fantasy football. Now, this is going to be PPR-based and 12-man league-based. So pretty much if you play in a 10-man league, your waiver wire is already stacked, but these players can be added as well. I will give the FAAB that I like as well to purchase the player heading into the week. Now, this is also rankings before the Monday Night Football game. So you're going to have the rankings could change. The 49ers and Jets could pop off. If I have any waiver wire advice heading for handcuffs for the 49ers game, it would be Jordan Mason, Braylon Allen, and Malachi Corley. I like him a lot in case of a Mike Williams injury. Now, before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. If you have any comments, fantasy football, any questions, let's talk week 1. I'm also going to give you my takes on the players that I'm going to bring up right now before the season started, which is going to sound interesting on some, and some are going to be kind of bad here. Now, let's dive into it, guys. The first player you should be targeting on your waiver wire, and people are going to go crazy and say, spend your whole FAAB. I am not that guy here in this situation. I'm going to say that Isaiah Likely is about a 35 to 40% of your FAAB pickup this week. And why that is because, yes, he did play 66% of the snaps. He was tied in 1 on the week with 9 receptions, 111 yards, and 1 touchdown. But what you have to look at in this game is not just the snaps that he played with Mark Andrews. Yes, they were about even and everything. But you have to look at the Chiefs' defense here. And they took away Mark Andrews in this game, just like the Ravens took away Travis Kelce in this game. So people are going to jump to a week 1 overreaction, thinking that it's time to trade for Isaiah Likely. It's time to spend all my FAAB on the season. It is not that smart to spend all your FAAB. The running back position is way more important than the tight end, and injuries will happen down the road. But I do love what I saw from Isaiah Likely. He lines up all over the formation, wide receiver, tight end, even in the backfield in some plays. And he was the first option to look at on some of these plays. Like, they game planned for them being ready for Mark Andrews. But I don't like him as a startable tight end still. I need to see more. 1 game just isn't enough for me. Yes, if you lost a Jake Ferguson injury or something like that and you want to spend 35, 40%, Jake Ferguson may be back week 2 also. We don't know yet, so it's risky business right now. But I do like the Isaiah Likely pickup at about 35 to 40%. The second player you should be targeting on your waiver wire, and my God, I cannot believe I am about to say this, and I even said if you follow my tweets or in my videos before, that I said J.K. Dobbins is going to be worth that late round flyer pick. And my goodness, did he look like it. He finished the week RB4. He had 10 attempts rushing, 135 yards, 3 receptions, 4 yards, and a touchdown. But what you got to look at here is he played 58% of the snaps. And Jim Harbaugh said, we're going to ride a hot hand here. And you saw who the more explosive back is. Gus Edwards looked north and south. He looked very slow. Of course, he's going to be the in-between guys. But J.K. Dobbins, guys, this could be a 60 to 70% FAAB play right here. Yes, the injury, career history is very, very bad. But if he can stay healthy, you are looking at a league winner, and you are starting this man 100% next week versus Carolina. Look at what the Saints just did to them. So this is a smash, not only like just a waiver wire pickup, this is a smash start pickup weekly right now, and he is going to absolutely throttle Carolina next week, and you want this man in your lineups. But I'm not saying 100% of your FAAB. That's just too much to blow on a season. I'm saying 60 to 70%, and go get J.K. Dobbins. The third player you should be targeting on your waiver wire is JuJu Robinson, and God, I love this one. I literally tweeted and I told everyone before the season that I promise you that JuJu Robinson is going to see more targets than Malik Neighbors, and everyone gave me shit. Now look here at game 1. 12 targets, Neighbors had 7. Here's your start. He's already 5 ahead. He plays in the slot. 68% snap share, even as a slot player. You know the Giants are going to be behind almost every single game. Danny Dimes looked terrible. He's not going to be quarterback for much longer at this rate. JuJu Robinson did finish wide receiver 28, 44 yards. With the 6 catches, he still had 11 points in the game. He was still a top 30 wide receiver right now before the New York Jets-Niners game. And he is going to see volume non-stop. This is a flexible player weekly in PPR, half-point PPR. He's going to find the end zone here, and he's going to have a big game here eventually coming up. But he's always going to be a floor play because volume is king, and this man sees so much volume. And I freaking nailed this call. The number 4 player you want to target here on your waiver wire, and the FAAB is hard to break down on Colby Parkinson, right? So you have Tyler Higbee out for 4 weeks, but he looked good, man. He may not lose this job. So you're looking at tight end 7 as a top tight end on the week. But what you have to remember is the tight ends were absolutely terrible this week. All the superstars were bad, every single one of them. You only had Isaiah Likely and Kyle Pitts really pop off. Now, the plus side is 88% snap share here. He saw 5 targets, 4 receptions, 47 yards. But guess what else happened? Puka Nacua got carted off with a knee. And they get the Arizona Cardinals next week. This man could be a startable tight end legitimately in fantasy football next week with how bad the tight ends were in week 1. And say you lost, Jake Ferguson, like I talked about earlier, or something like that. He may not be out there. This is a perfect plug and play. I will say it's about maybe 15, 20, maybe possibly 25% FAAB on this. I wouldn't spend too much because, the future looking down the road, we don't know how it plays out. But I love him next week a ton if you're looking for a dart throw tight end play. The number 5 player you should be targeting is Baker Brown Mayfield. Baker absolutely lit up the Washington Commanders. He was my number 1 stardom QB. The Commanders defense gave up the most points last year to wide receiver. We knew this was going to be a smash. He finished as QB2 on the week. I didn't put him that high, but let's be honest. He has Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. They both exploded for 20 plus. Even Jalen McMillan found the end zone. And looking at a player that I'm going to talk about later, Bucky Irving to go along with Rachaad White looks like a dangerous duo in the backfield. And Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator, had this offense cooking, guys. Now, Baker Mayfield is going to get a tougher matchup next week. He's going to be like one of those guys you're like, oh, I want to start him so bad, but you're still going to have that fringe conversation in your head of, was it just a 1-game pop here, or is Baker Mayfield really going to keep it going, for the next couple games here? I am on the fence thinking that he is possibly going to keep it going here because they get Detroit at Detroit. They're going to have to score to keep up. Detroit did not score as many points against the Rams as I thought, but that was because McVay is a genius. How he kept the offense on the field so long was insane. But I think Baker is going to be a startable QB1 in one-man QB leagues this year. And I did not see it coming. I have to say I was wrong here. And props to Baker and the Bucks. They looked great. Number 6 player you should be targeting on your waiver wire is the boom or bust Rasheed Shahed. And man, did he boom this week. So Rasheed Shahed finishes wide receiver 11. Only had 5 targets, 3 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. And you're going to see 68% snap share at the top. But guys, this game was 40 to freaking 0 at halftime. So when you're looking at say Alvin Kamara or Chris Olave and you're in a panic and you're thinking that, oh, these guys aren't going to be out there. Kamara had 20 points in the first half and never really played in the second half. Olave didn't see anything in the second half. None of them were even out there in the second half. You were seeing Jamal Williams get touches. You were seeing wide receivers you never heard a name of getting catches. The Carolina Panthers were so bad. But Rasheed Shahed, he could be a flexible play weekly. They even get a matchup next week versus Dallas, which is going to be tough, guys. And they're not going to be playing ahead in this game. I thought Cleveland Browns would blow out the Cowboys last week. I was completely wrong. The Cowboys showed out. The Browns may just absolutely suck. But you're going to see a way more volume in this game. The snap share will be higher. The targets will be higher. The receptions will be more because you're going to be in a closer game. These numbers were a boom or bust early. He was the first touchdown of the NFL season, if I remember. So I like the pickup with him. I like the start next week at flex. And I would say about 15 to 20% FAAB on it, but I don't fully love it yet because I want to see a full game. This was a one-shot blowout game. I want to see how his targets look in a full game where it's a close game. Your number 7 waiver wire target, and this is crazy. I did not see this coming at all. Should be Tank Bigsby. I did not believe the preseason hype. I saw his rookie year. He did not look anything good. All the talk is that he's gotten better. He's improved. And they showed it in this game. And people are going to be in a panic mode thinking it's a split backfield. Hold your horses here. He only played 32% of the snaps, guys. Now, what he did with it was tremendous. Could that be more leading forward because what you saw with it? Of course. He finished as RB31. He had 12 attempts, 73 yards. Almost a 7 yards per carry average total, like 6.7. Insane. And the Miami D is not bad guys that they played against. Do I think he's going to see 50% target share with ETN to ever be a split backfield? No, I do not. But you're going to probably see a 30-35%. And if anything happens to ETN, my goodness. I mean, if you own ETN, you better be handcuffing this guy, even paying the FAAB on the wire. So I would say about 5 to 10% if you don't own ETN, and I would say 10 to 15% if you did own ETN, because he is now a true legit handcuffed. Number 8 player you want to target is all aboard to Dortchland. Greg Dortch, I literally said at the beginning of the season, if he stays healthy, is going to lead the Arizona Cardinals in targets. And look what happened in week 1. 8 targets, Marvin Harrison 3 targets, Michael Wilson 2 targets. This man is the trusted player of Kyler Murray. If you listen to anything in the offseason, he loves everything about Greg Dortch. He is impossible to guard. If he was taller, he'd be the number 1 wide receiver. If you looked back at anything between Kyler Murray and Greg Dortch in their career, this man is fed every single game. He's just had injury problems. Now, he did play on 61% of the snaps. He's still wide receiver 31 on the week. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions, 47 yards. Now, they're going to get a matchup against the LA Rams next week. And I'm telling you right now, this man is a flexible play again. I flexed him in one of my leagues. I'm that crazy. And it actually paid off over the player that I would have started him over, which was Chuba Hubbard. So you have to look at volume in these situations, and you have to look at the trusted player in the situation. And I'm not saying he's going to outproduce Marvin Harrison or a safer start than Marvin Harrison all the time. I'm not saying that. But I am saying spend 15 to 20% because volume is king, and Greg Dortch is going to see a ton of volume this year. Number 9 player you want to target. And man, I just call crazy things, guys. I told everyone about this rookie running back class, and the only running back in week 1 that is going to be effective from the rookie running back class is Bucky Irving. And cha-ching! Bucky Irving was out there shining, guys. Now, most people are going to think it looks like a split backfield. It does not. He only played 31% of the snaps. Rasheed White played 69%. Now, he finished RB31, and what he did with his carries was just like Tank Bigsby, right? Yards per carry was absolutely nuts. Over 6 yards per carry, 9 attempts, 62 yards. Also saw receiving work. Also saw 2 catches, 14 yards. Tank Bigsby did not. So you are going to be seeing him used more and more, and I think he's more involved because, goddamn, he looked explosive. But I'm also looking at this as they blew Washington out here, guys. Washington scored a bunch of garbage points at the end. You know, you probably got to see a little more Bucky Irving than you were going to see if the game was close. So you have to factor that in. You know, no matter how you look at it, you could say that, you know, oh, he's going to be used all the time. No, he's not going to be used all the time. He's a rookie. He's going to be out there for a little bit. They are playing Detroit next week. This is a game where I'm not even thinking about putting Bucky Irving in. This is going to be a Rasheed White-led game here in this next one. But, again, this is like a Tank Bigsby thought here from me. I'd say 5 to 10%, maybe 15% on Bucky, right? Because he looks like an absolute explosion if anything happens to Rasheed White. But if you own Rasheed White, I'm going 25% here because I want to own my handcuff that is an absolute stud handcuff, it looks like. So that's how I look at it. So like 10 to 15, if not, 25% if you own Rasheed White. Last but not least, number 10, Brandon Cooks. The old man still has a little gas in the tank, guys. And what you have to love is 79% snap share. Yeah, was CD on a little snap count or tiny one? Possibly. Will he be ramped up more for week 2? 100% CD will. But Brandon Cooks is always going to be out there in 2 wide receiver sets, no matter what. So you have to think about finish the week, wide receiver 19, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 40 yards, 1 touchdown, 14.5 fantasy points. Now, plus side for week 2, we don't know about Jake Ferguson yet. It looks like he may come back and try and gut it out, or they could, possibly sit him for week 2. More volume for Brandon Cooks, that would mean. And they play the New Orleans Saints. And if Marshawn Lattimore is out there healthy, guys, he is going to be on CD Lamb. Brandon Cooks is a startable flex play next week in 12-plus man leagues. And you should be spending 20 to 25% FAAB to get this man, because you also get the opportunity. What if anything happens to CD Lamb? God forbid injury. You have the wide receiver 1 that is going to be Dak's favorite target. And he's an absolute great wide receiver 3 or 4 to own on your bench anyways, in case of bye weeks or injuries. That is it for episode 36, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 waiver wires to help you in week 2. Some of them are startable, remember, but you have to look at it with your FAAB base for the season. That is like my number one goal to you is do not go crazy in week 1 and spend all your FAAB. There will be injuries down the road. Now, before we head out, guys, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. Any fantasy football questions you guys have at all, drop them in the comments. I'm here to help you win championships. And just remember, week 1 that I said Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb will both be under projections and have a bad game. And a lot of you gave me shit for that, man. Cha-ching! Now, I will be live in an hour at exactly 2:30 p.m. PST here 2 hours before the game. We're going to go over every single matchup. I have 2 amazing guests in Big Draft Energy and Michael Wright. Great fantasy football minds are going to be in there. We're going to be talking about each game, what pick'ems we like for Monday Night Football, go over a little Jets 49ers. Bang, bang. I hope the 49ers win. SleezBall out.